I expected a rough meeting. How could it not be? I think it maybe is a mini miracle that we got through 79 speakers before we had to recess, and that's on top of the many weeks where people have come to our council chambers to be heard on this very, very difficult set of issues. And I have some thoughts about some of the testimony that ended up disrupting the meeting. The content of it, not just the tone, the content of it. And this is where I agree with Councilmember Kaplan. Just because you are loud doesn't mean that you are right. I plain disagree with many of the young people who spoke tonight who are clear they don't favor a two-state solution, who believe that Israel should never have and does not now deserve to exist. Frankly, I found some of it right on the line of blatant anti-Semitism. And I know you can be critical of Israel and not be anti-Semitic. But to deny the very existence of Israel, given its historical origin, and given what led to the state of Israel. You want to talk about history? I hope some of these young people read a couple of books, because there are two sides to history. That in 1948, Israel was partitioned into Israel and Palestine, and thus began the 1948 war, started by the Arab nations, that Israel won, and then the 1967 war, started again by Egypt and Syria, that led to Israel taking the West Bank. And I disagree vehemently with the Israeli government. I disagree vehemently with settlements. I disagree vehemently with the right-wing direction of the Israeli government. But I will defend Israel's right to exist against any of these people who are not well informed and are so ideological and so vested in this frame of oppressor and oppressed that they aren't willing to even understand or learn two sides of history. And you better believe not recognizing Israel is anti-Semitism. So you keep coming back to these chambers as much as you want, because I'm going to give you as good as you give here. You want to have a debate? Then we will have a debate. I don't agree that Hamas is a humanitarian organization. Are you kidding me? They murdered and raped thousands of people on October 7th. There's no justification for that. But this is now where I part with my colleague, Councilmember Kaplan. Because a fair reading of the resolution does, in fact, reach across the great divide and acknowledges the pain on both sides. It specifically condemns Hamas's atrocity of October 7th. Yes, it does. That's right up front in the resolution. And it also decries the deaths of over 25,000 civilians in Gaza. This is horrible, and it needs to stop. And it calls for a two-state solution specifically. I'm disappointed in many members of the Jewish community, the Jewish Federation, the JCRC, of which I was the former chair. Because CARE tonight, you want to know what was accomplished tonight? CARE, the leading voice for Muslim Americans and Palestinian Americans in this community, with a long track record of fighting for Palestinian rights, came to the table and supported a resolution which was fair and balanced, that spoke up for the people of Gaza, that spoke for a bilateral ceasefire and the need for humanitarian aid, and also acknowledged the importance of a safe and secure Israel. That took a lot of guts. I wish more people from the Jewish community were here tonight to show the same courage. Some did show up, and I'm grateful to them, and disappointed in some of the organized leadership for not seeing what's really going on in our community. And what's really going on in our community is that the very dialogue that Councilmember Kaplan talked about a few moments ago has not happened for months. The Jewish leadership is not sitting down with the Muslim American leadership and vice versa. And you know what motivated me to do this resolution? And what I think may come out of it in a positive way, and what happens tomorrow and the next day. Forget a lot of these young people who just want to break it all up. Tomorrow conversations begin because between Jewish Federation leaders and Muslim American leaders, because this resolution prompted the need for that kind of dialogue. Sacramento has always been a unique and special place because we have stood with and for one another. When one of us is the victim of discrimination or tragedy, we stand with the victims. Jewish community and Muslim community and all our diverse communities alike. That has been our tradition. And that has broken apart since October 7th in many ways. And I want to bring it back together. Not alone, I can't do it, you can't do it, a single resolution is not going to do it. But the fact that CARE and responsible leaders of the Jewish community stood up here at the beginning of the meeting and at the press conference at 3 o'clock today and said, we support this difficult resolution, to me, is a start. And so this is hard, this is difficult. There was a lot of pain and anger here tonight and a lot of inappropriate behavior, frankly. And you know what? I don't regret a thing. Because if you're not willing to grapple with the toughest stuff, then we're not willing to represent all the voices of our community, or at least hear all the voices of our community. And in terms of this idea, Councilmember Kaplan, that we need to get back to what we're working on, like the unsheltered and homeless, are you kidding? I only spend 90% of my time on all the other issues affecting our city. I put in the extra time here because I saw what was happening to long-standing friendships and relationships between people who are from the same God, not talking to one another anymore, and I want that to stop. And maybe, through all of this, that some of the relationships that connected, at least here a little bit tonight, people standing up together, will lead to our communities reconnecting again. Because Jay Chenier said it beautifully tonight, I thought. A lot of people spoke beautifully, but he really said it. We are much stronger when we're together than when we're apart. We know that. I don't regret a thing. I urge an aye vote on this so that we can make a value statement, so that maybe we can put this behind us. I know people are going to come next week and the week after, but guess what? We're not going to continue hearing this in the same way, I'm telling you. We have devoted untold numbers of hours to this, and we're not going to keep doing this. And I don't care whether you come with as much anger as you want. We're going to do the city's business, and we're going to do it fairly, but we're not going to have this issue continue to dominate our discussion. I urge an aye vote. Is there a motion?